everybody, how's it going? And welcome to my review of Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, a new movie that's just recently premiered on Netflix, and it was directed by Joe Berlinger, and it not so much tells the story of Ted Bundy, but it really goes into exploring his relationship with Liz Kendall, his girlfriend at the time. So this is a movie that I was really interested in seeing, mainly because I have a really big fascination with serial killers. No, I'm not a really weird, creepy monster of a person. It's one of those things that just really fascinates me, you know, like how a person can actually do something like that. And admittedly, at first, when I heard that Zac Efron was playing Ted Bundy, I was kind of like, okay, you know, he's pretty. But then again, so was Ted Bundy. But once the trailer came out and I saw that, I was like, wow, this guy's actually really nailing the role. Then I heard James Hetfield from Metallica was in it, and this movie, yeah, it really started looking good, even though Joe Berlinger has been a little bit hit and miss. Like, you know, he recently did the Ted Bundy tapes, the documentary that came out on Netflix, which I really loved. He did the Metallica documentary, Some Kind of Monster, which is probably why Hetfield ended up in this. But he was also responsible for this. Anyway, I checked out this movie last night, and yeah, look, I'll get into the good stuff first. So, look, Zac Efron absolutely crushed this role. This guy became Ted Bundy. Like, there were a lot of times in this film I forgot that I was watching Zac Efron, you know, which is absolutely testament to a great performance. But yeah, his overall look, props to the costume and hair and makeup people, they really made him look like Bundy. I also really enjoyed the long list of supporting actors in this. Aside from James Hetfield, we had Dylan Baker, Haley Joel Osment, John Malkovich, Jim Parsons. Yes, Jim Parsons from Big Bang Theory is in this movie as the prosecuting lawyer, and yeah, he was good. Like, there were a whole ton of people in this movie that were really good. Kaya Scodelario was in this movie, who played a character, well, not a character, a real person named Carol Ann Boone, who fell in love with Ted Bundy while he was on trial and fathered a kid to him. And yeah, she was nearly unrecognizable in this role, the way they made her look. The whole production design in this thing was spot on. I mean, that's one thing that I do tend to dwell on in sort of period pieces, you know, that are set in certain decades, is how accurately they made it look like it. And yeah, wow, this movie, it really captured the 70s. Lily Collins, who is the daughter of Phil Collins, that's a claim to fame. She played Liz Kendall, who was Ted Bundy's girlfriend at the time that he was going around doing unspeakable things to other girls. And yeah, she was good for most of the film. I'll get into that in a minute. And overall, yeah, like they did a pretty good job of capturing that era, you know, the aspects of Ted Bundy's life that were necessary for this particular story. But one of the big problems that I had with this film, now I do understand that they were trying to emphasize that aspect of Ted Bundy that was the charmer, you know, that was this really good-looking guy that, you know, could persuade women to do whatever he wanted. Like, I get that, but at the same time, I don't really think that they made it a very compelling story, in as much as they didn't show the real monster that he was. Like, yeah, there were talks of what he was doing. There were, you know, certain things that you just kind of heard about. But as far as his actual character goes, I thought they kind of not so much painted him in a positive light, but just the way that everyone was treating him and the way that his character was just pretty much reacting to the accusations and proclaiming his innocence through the whole thing. Like, yeah, I don't know, it wasn't that compelling. At first, the relationship between Ted and Liz was interesting, but I don't know, as it went on about halfway through, like, it just keeps cutting to her back at home watching him on TV and crying a lot, and I don't know, it lost its interest. They tried to have a little bit of tension with Haley Joel Osment's character, who was supporting her, you know, in her time of need and stuff, and you could kind of tell that there may have been a little thing going on there, and like there's one point where Ted rings the house and he answers, and there's no tension because, like, Ted's in jail and you know what's going to happen to him, so it's sort of like, yeah, okay, you good. Not only that, the editing in this thing was actually pretty bad. There were a lot of shots that lost continuity. There were shots where, you know, in one shot someone will be sitting down, in the next shot they're standing up. And they try to tell the story in a non-linear fashion, but to me it just jumped around too much at the start. Like, it was a little bit tricky trying to focus on exactly what was going on and when. And there were a few other inconsistencies, like there was a bit where they were using music to illustrate the time period, and at one point they put on a Metallica song from Kill 'Em All, the first album from '81, but yeah, and I was thinking, okay, we're in the 80s now, but it was actually 79, I think. So, yeah, overall, I don't know, the film came across as a little bit of a mess. And aside from that, like, Joe Berlinger directed the documentary series, the Ted Bundy tapes, and they showed some clips, from the actual Ted Bundy, like, at the end credits, which was interesting, like, especially to compare Zac Efron's performance, but you then sort of see some things that really make you scratch your head, like the fact that Efron's version of the character at one point has this big leg brace on, which they never really explain. But then when they show footage from that same scene, Bundy doesn't have a leg brace on. So you're kind of left with, like, well, why, you know? So it was definitely the kind of film, look, while I was watching it, it's enjoyable enough. I mean, it's not a bad film by any means. It's just not that compelling, not enough to really sort of make me want to go back and revisit it. So despite an absolute cracking performance by Zac Efron, some brilliant production design, and yeah, you know, an overall slightly interesting story. Yeah, definitely not worth going and watching again. So I'm going to give Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile a 6 out of 10. So thank you very much for watching my review of... Oh, look, that title's just way too long. The Ted Bundy film. And if you have seen the Ted Bundy film, I'd love to know what you guys thought of it. Because, like, one friend on Facebook said it was one of the best serial killer movies she's ever seen. Yeah, which is fair enough, but yeah, I'd like to know why. So let me know what you thought of it. Drop me some comments either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies, and I would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.